You gonna say hi to everyone? Hey, say hi. Be so shy. Hi everyone. Dr. Scott here with my gorgeous rescue dog Mango. Here he is. He is just sublimely gorgeous. We're very much in love. I don't know how good he's going to be though at answering all the questions you've been sending in. The dog related questions. Really interesting stuff. Thank you so much for sending them in. Just before I start though, to help me help more rescue dogs like Mango, rescue animals, then please do hit the subscribe button. And also, if you haven't got a YouTube account, then it's really easy to do. And once you've set it up, just press that subscribe button. It will really help as Mango and I continue to try and encourage more people to love and care for rescue animals, and of course people that do rescue as well. So please do that for us. But we've been sent in a lot of great questions about dogs. Now I can't answer really complicated dog medical questions because they do need to go and see a vet to actually be seen physically in person, to be able to be examined, and then some ongoing tests. But I've just chosen a selection of the questions that I think are really interesting. Some are quite fun, and hopefully, yeah, you enjoy it. Hopefully Mango won't fall asleep. Right, should we get started? Right, so this is about a Lhasa Apso mix called Nova. Basically, it's a relationship issue. So girlfriend has moved in with boyfriend 6 months ago and his 2 cats. So one of the cats is quite aggressive towards poor Nova. At random times, he basically lays in the middle of the stairs and swats, so she's too afraid to pass. Bless her. And he's actually gone as far as scratching her eye that needed veterinary attention, but it has actually healed just fine. So he does swat at humans as well. And so basically, this young lady is asking how they can make these 2 get on better. It's great to hear that the other cat and the dog get on just fine. So in a lot of ways, I actually think that cats are quite good at training dogs to be a bit respectful. And clearly, your dog has learnt the hard way. So that's a real shame, and I'm sorry to hear that. It's not what you want. But it has probably meant that Nova does keep her distance from this cat. So there's 2 things I think you can do. First of all is making sure that there's some areas that are Nova's and some areas that are just this cat's. Maybe it is that Nova doesn't go upstairs, and maybe the cat has upstairs and Nova has downstairs, and maybe you carry Nova up at the end of the day, or that cat has a certain room in the house that they can be solely. Also providing higher places for cats to hide. Cats actually like sort of a vantage point to be able to sort of look down disparagingly on everything else that exists on the planet. So providing those places means that he can be up and away, and then Nova can sort of slink away and be just fine. When they're meeting each other, I think it's key that they're both relaxed and calm. So play with the cat with a fishing rod toy or something energetic to burn off some of that energy, and the same for Nova. And also you can use a number of pheromone diffusers, so scent hormone. From a cat, it's produced on their faces when they sort of do that and they rub on things. And a dog is actually from a mammary tissue. It's a synthetic product. But when they smell it, they go like, oh, mum, and they're all calm and relaxed. So you could use a diffuser upstairs to help with the cat and downstairs for the dog. And by doing so, it just takes the edge off anxiety and stress in those sort of social situations. But honestly, it's only been a short period of time, and I know 6 months sounds like a long time, but actually for a cat, they hold on to grudges. And so it may take a little bit longer. And actually my 2 cats, Ricketts and Luna, we rescued Luna. Ricketts was much older and he still barely tolerates her. And that's many years after the fact. So just be prepared. It might be a long process, but hopefully eventually they'll just tolerate each other, but don't expect a little bit of love. All right, next one. This one's about separation anxiety. So separation anxiety in older rescue dogs that never had home alone training. Where do we start? It's a really good question, and one that actually even with Mango as a young pup is an issue. A lot of dogs do spend excessive amount of time at home, maybe aren't walked quite as much as they should be, and have a lot of excess energy, which then sort of deteriorates into anxiety. So first things first, lots of exercise, lots of walking, lots of going outside, meeting other dogs, and socialization, habitualization with different environments so that they tuck it out. And then when you are inside, try and force some level of separation upon them. So If they sleep in one room, move to another. Don't always allow them to follow you everywhere. And I do hear people say they let the dog follow them everywhere, particularly rescue dogs, because you kind of feel sorry for them. But don't let them follow you everywhere, including the toilet, which a lot of people tell me that they do. Don't do that. You need to force some level of separation so they get used to that. And then over time you extend it. But if you have everything come together, so you exercise them first, then you put on some music, and then you maybe give them a treat, have them in a comfy bed, and then step away. If you can just step away for just a few minutes, even a minute, and then come back in. But don't give them a huge amount of energy and attention when you return, because sometimes that can hype them up. And the same for when you leave. Step away rather than making a big performance of it, because that can mean that they have heightened emotions than to be, sort of plunged into the depths of despair when you do leave. And there are a number of calming agents out in the environment that you can go and buy. There's pheromone diffusers that can work really well as well to calm a dog. There's lots and lots of things that you can do. And also, of course, amazing animal behaviorists. They are wonderful friends in the veterinary community and profession, and they are there to help. So if your dog is really struggling, then go and speak to one of them, because they are great people, and they will come out, see the environment, meet your dog, and really try and get to grips with that issue. But I really wish you the very best. But a lot of rescue dogs, unfortunately, do suffer a little bit with that. But Mango is improving, and I've only had him for a few months, so I'm sure that your dog will as well. Right, next one. How can you help an older dog developing arthritis in their back legs? Well, you can't really stop that from happening, because it's just an old age change, and arthritis is usually where the cartilage, the protective surface of joints, almost like the shock absorbers in the joints, they kind of rub away, and then you've got bone rubbing on bone, and that can lead to arthritis, sort of changes and inflammation of the bone. And that, of course, happens much more when they get older. But what you can do is to keep them as lean as you possibly can, keep them active and mobile. That's really important. And then, of course, supplement them with things that you know will help them to regenerate that cartilage. So chondroitin sulfate, glucosamine, green lip mussel has a lot of those things in it. So a lot of those joint supplements, what I would say with joint supplements though, is you pay for what you get, and also make sure it's from a reliable source, because unfortunately it's not a very well regulated area, and therefore some supplements, the quality isn't quite there. So do speak to your vet about that and use a really reliable source. There are also a number of injections, pain relief injections. There's a new one that works with the immune system to almost like vaccinate against pain and inflammation. That's incredible. So there are a lot of changes, a lot of developments within veterinary medicine that can really help an older dog to continue to be mobile and to move around. So do check them all out, but I hope that your dog is healthy and comfortable. I do love an old dog. Right, let's have a look at the next one. How to welcome a rescue dog into your home, especially those who have experienced trauma. I would say consistency is the main one, and also not mollycoddling them, in that set out the structure of your new environment, work on things like basic training, because that will give them something to think about. It gives them that structure and order in their life, and also then you sort of almost start from scratch to build them up. So Mango didn't even know how to sit when he came here. I don't think that he had had much training at all, and he certainly had no idea about traffic. I don't think he'd ever been walked, because as soon as he sees traffic, he's like, what's that noise? So there are a lot of things that you need to understand with your dog, and it does take time. So I think don't rush it. Start with just a couple of weeks where you are just working on the very, very basics. You're then learning and understanding your dog, and each one comes with their own set of traumas. Maybe it's neglect, maybe it's worse. And you do need to understand those things, so then work out what triggers them and work out ways to reduce those things. But also try and find out what your dog likes. That's a really key way to improve the serotonin levels in their brain, make them happy, and hopefully reduce their anxiety and stress. Because when they feel stress and nerves, they don't think and process things properly. So for Mango, he's actually quite easy. He loves a fuss, he loves food, and he loves toys. So literally you can win him over on many different ways. So try and find out what your rescue dog likes, and that really will help to lift their mood. And then when you're training them, you can use those things to maybe see that what you're showing them isn't a too bad way to go. but also do get a full physical examination as well to work out exactly where they are health-wise and what might limit the things that you do with them on a daily basis. So it's very much an information gathering period of time, but I would say just take it easy, set structure out. They like to have regimented feeding times, regimented walking times. They just like that consistency. So do keep that up. And of course, bucket loads of love. Here's a gross question. How do I stop my dog from eating cat litter? Yuck. I've even got a baby gate around the front of it. I've even tried chili powder in the litter box. Help. Yeah. Mango, did you want to say anything about that? Mango has been eating a little bit. I'd say cat litter, but we all know he's not eating the litter. It is thoroughly disgusting. It's called coprophagia. It's eating poo. And normally it's their own poo, which he's also done. I'm really embarrassing you now. But eating cat poo is quite a common thing because they only eat protein. They're obligate carnivores, and I think their poo, oddly, is quite attractive to dogs. So what I would suggest is that you just look for a different place for the litter tray to be that your dog can't access, and maybe upstairs, and also consider an igloo type litter tray, which means that your dog can't get into it. But it can be a real challenge, and I understand why you've done the chili powder, because sometimes it's the poo almost telling the dog off, so I do get that. And obviously a certain amount of training will mean that they will stay away from it. But if your dog has access to the litter tray and you're not around, unfortunately, they're almost certain to eat the poo. So you just need to work out a practical solution where the cat can go to the toilet and the dog can't get to it. But there is no real, magic bullet for this one, I'm afraid. It is one that you literally need to just put the litter tray somewhere that the dog can't get to, and eventually, hopefully, they'll forget it even exists. My dog recently had to have a growth removed from his abdomen. It was not cancerous, thank goodness. Is there any chance this could happen again? Absolutely. Lumps and bumps are very common, particularly as the dog gets older. The skin develops aberrations, and those aberrations can sometimes then be the basis for cancer. In this case, I'm really glad to hear that it wasn't. If it's a fatty growth, a lipoma, they're benign, so non-malignant, and they're very common in older dogs, certain breeds of dogs, and particularly dogs that are a little bit overweight. So keeping your dog nice and lean is the way to go. But of course, all of us, as we get older, develop lumps and bumps and just changes, abnormalities on our skin. Just a case of getting them all checked over by a vet as soon as possible. Don't be fearful of going and seeing your vet thinking it's the worst case scenario, because if it is and it's caught early, sometimes it can be curative if it's removed. So it's always a case to go and see your vet. But lumps and bumps, unfortunately, are par for the course when you have a canine companion. I'm allergic to dogs. Are there any dogs that are non-allergenic? So I think you might mean hypoallergenic, because actually there's no such thing as non-allergenic, because all dogs will produce dander, so that the skin cells that come away from a dog's skin, it sits on their coat. So we all know that poodles, any non-shedding dog, tend to be hypoallergenic, but there is no such thing as a non-allergenic dog. But I do think that each breed presents a different protein, and so it's sometimes worth trying, almost like a bit of an experiment, to see if you are allergic to all of them. What I did recently with a friend of mine who's quite a famous TV presenter, one of her children had an allergy to dogs, and so what I did was I just every now and again sent her hair from different breeds of dogs until we worked out that actually she wasn't allergic to golden retrievers, and guess what? They've now got a golden retriever. So it is certainly something I think you can surmount, and there are medications, of course, that can help to reduce allergic symptoms. And also some people can actually get over allergies simply by being exposed to them at low levels consistently. But do speak to your doctor, of course, about that, and speak to your vet about that. But I would try a little bit of experimentation, because there are a number of hypoallergenic breeds out there, easy to Google search, and then just try your luck. Speak to all the breeders, see if they'll send you a little hair sample, and just see. Hopefully you will find the perfect canine companion for you. What are your opinions of breeding brachycephalic dogs and breeds? Is it possible to turn the breeds back to health? And what would need to be done? And is Boas the biggest issue with brachycephalic or movability. So brachycephalic is flat-faced. Boas is brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome. So we have done a recent story. The dog was called Cassie, and she was a Boston Terrier, and I needed to perform a Boas procedure on her, removing the soft palate in the back of the throat. It's made a huge difference, not only to her ability to breathe, but her quality of life. She's a much happier dog, and she's more sociable in the park now. She doesn't have to focus so much on breathing and can focus more on social skills. When it says, is it possible to turn breeds back to health? Well, actually, if you look back, say 100 years ago, to pictures of pugs and boxers, they're a different shape entirely. They're taller, longer legs, definitely longer noses, and they're much more bred to be more of an active dog. And pugs definitely did have a longer nose. Now they're very, very, very flat-faced, and they're bred to be even more flat-faced. So what needs to happen is for show ring judges to change the rules in which they use, or the standards that they use to judge these dogs. And I believe that one of them should be that they are able to show some level of athleticism. You mentioned about movability, but the ability to move comfortably and be able to breathe well and not collapse at the end of it, or be snoring dreadfully. So for me, it's a mixture of getting them to be a little bit more functional, which means a longer nose. I would definitely say longer, straighter limbs, and definitely be able to get around a show ring without making a huge amount of noise. That would definitely be a step in the right direction. Okay. Good morrow. Good morrow to you. I have an English long-haired Griffon in the US. He's 4 years old, and cleaning out his left ear, there's a lot of muck in there, and the vet's given them a cleaner to help, but it hasn't really helped. And basically it's asking, are these breeds chronic viral infections, and what can I do more to help? So when they have floppy ears or slightly closed down ears, of course, the airflow into the ears isn't as good. And as a result, it's dark and moist. So a perfect environment for yeast, which is that brown discharge, and then bacteria to grow. So it is just a case of whenever you have a dog that has that type of ear, to clean them out really regularly. And unfortunately, it isn't something that ever a vet can give you a cure on. It's about management. It's about regularly wiping out the ears. So for Mango, after every walk, I wipe his ears out every single day. And that just lifts away some of that muck, which will lead to the development of infections and things. From time to time, though, that will spill over to being an infection. And also allergies can present in the ears as well. It's almost like the red flag to allergy, because it's the one part of their body that the inside of the ear is generally hairless. And so it sort of shows the skin, so you can actually see when it's inflamed and red as a result of being exposed to something in the environment that they don't like, or maybe in their food as well. What I would say is it's really important to make sure that you don't let water go down the ear canal. So if you do bath your dog regularly, just put a little bit of cotton wool in both of the ear canals, and then give them their bath, and then pull it out afterwards. It just stops a little bit of liquid going down, because what it is, dogs have an L-shaped ear canal. And so it's the vertical canal and then the horizontal canal. So what happens is once water's down this bit, it's really hard for you to get to this bit. But what you can do is use your finger very effectively. And if you just get a bit of soft cotton wool, you can really get your finger down quite a distance. It isn't painful, but be sort of firm but gentle if that's possible. But by wiping away every single day, just lifting that out, you are going to reduce the amount of muck that's present there. And those ear cleaners that you've suggested, you can get two types. There's an acidic one, which can sometimes help remove any water. So for all the swimming dogs out there, go for the more acidic one. And then there's a pH neutral one when they have got slightly sore ears, because if you put acid down there, that's going to really hurt. So there are a couple of different varieties. But again, speak to your vet about the best options for you. And if your dog has got very hairy canals, sometimes the groomer can pluck or clip the hair to improve the airflow, reduce the moisture, and hopefully reduce the cause of problems. So I hope that helps. There are so many more questions, so I'm so sorry if I haven't answered yours, but I will definitely be back here with Mango, who's now fallen asleep, to answer more of your questions here on Ask the Vet with me, Dr. Scott Miller. This is Rescue Vet, my channel, and I really do hope that you will please, after watching this, like and subscribe, because it really does help me help more rescue animals here on Rescue Vet. Bye for now.
You're the